Welcome everybody to this webinar organized by DATAMITE. And it's a series for trainings and also presentations with the name Unlocking Data Value with DATAMITE. And today's presentation and webinar is focused on enhancing the visibility of Mistral through DATAMITE. We are very happy to host Bala from CINECA, who is a partner in our consortium, and he can help you go through this the visibility of Mistral. And maybe you can explain what is Mistral and how valuable it is and what DATAMITE is doing, and then you can move forward. So you can start.
Okay. So good morning to all of you. So before I start, I convey my sincere thanks to Anthony for giving me this opportunity. But before I start, probably I'll share you the link of the presentation. So at any point, if you have this doubt that how long this guy is going to speak, maybe this can help you to see where I am and how long I'll take to finish. So just for your convenience. So please confirm to me that the link is functioning.
Yes.
Because it is on a cloud service, so sometimes they go crazy. Okay. So my screen is visible, I suppose. Okay. So he already presented me. So myself is Bala. I have a long name, but I prefer to present myself as Bala for the convenience. So today I will explain to you in a very not an elaborate way, let's say in briefly, that what germinated us to participate in DATAMITE, what is DATAMITE is bringing to us. Of course, I've set the title enhancing the MISTRAL visibility with the DATAMITE. This is the objective or the final destination of where we wanted to come. But sometimes your final destination does not have a much significance if you don't consider the starting point. So I have divided my webinar in two parts. So first I'll give you some introduction about the Mistral, what we offer, and what are all the current challenges. Because if you don't understand this part, what challenges we face and what germinated the collaboration with the DATAMITE consortium to participate in DATAMITE, it's difficult to understand the second part. So I will just dedicate the first part to give you an overview of the Mistral platform challenges, and then in the second part, I'll show you two contexts in which we are using DATAMITE, and after explaining the context, I'll also try to showcase them directly on the DATAMITE platform. I mean, I don't want to do a technical presentation, but I'll just show you the steps that we followed in realizing this context with the DATAMITE. That is my second part. Okay, so now I enter into the first part. So what is Mistral? Okay, so at the start of the outset of the project, the platform was called as Mistral. Now it is renamed or rebranded as MeteoHub. It's a weather platform. Now it is owned by the Italian Meteorological Agency. And its purpose is to maintain and expose assets. When I talk about assets, I talk about data assets. Okay. So what is that platform? It offers a centralized processing of national meteorological data. Okay. So we have majorly two major categories of data. One is observation data. And what is an observation data? It is the real-time measurements that is coming from different instruments. Let's say, for example, sensors installed at different locations. It can register information, for example, about temperature or pressure or precipitation, etc. So once you have the observation data, you can apply models or analysis, which they in the weather jargon they call it as forecast simulations. So you can make predictions about weather outcomes based on historical data. So these are two categories of data that we deal with. Now, every time I speak about data, I I refer data as assets. Okay. So these are the two categories of principal data assets we have. And what is the role of CINECA? So for those of you who have not introduced to CINECA, we are one of the high performance computing facility and one of the largest in Italian, and of course also at the level of the Europe. So we offer three kinds of services. So one is cloud service. So we have a cloud infrastructure that runs on OpenStack. So for some of the projects, we provide cloud services. And we also have storage services. And we have also the HPC service. So the projects that needs, where there is a need for running large scale simulations, we also give support to HPC service. So as far as Mistral or Meteor Hub is concerned, we provide both. We provide all the three. We provide cloud service, we provide storage service, and we provide HPC service. Okay. Now, having said this, I will in the next slide, I'll show you in what context or how we are providing this service. So to understand that, let's little bit see about how the Meteor Hub, or sorry, I use Meteor Hub now because whenever I say Meteor Hub, please be aware that I talk about Mistral. So as I said before, that we have two categories of data. One is observation data, and other is the forecast data or forecast products. So it works in this way. Okay, so across Italy, you have a huge network. We have around 17 networks of weather stations, and who collect the data or observation data using different instruments like sensors. So we collect all these observation data. So once you have this observation data, some of the partners, they use our HPC services in CINECA to do some forecast simulations. You have the input data as observation data. Maybe you can use it as a historical data to create forecast products. And some partners who themselves are the HPC, they work on their, they process their observation data, and they give us the final forecast products. Of course, if you want to provide these data assets as a service, of course, HPC is not the correct environment where we use our cloud service, which is named as Meteor Hub or Mistral. So in cloud service, we provide these data assets, both type of data assets with some metadata information that people who are doing research on who are doing climatic research can understand the jargon. I'll show you how the data is organized or data assets are organized in succeeding slides. And it is exposed to the end user. Now, the context one. Till now, these products or data assets are largely used by the partners who are involved in this processing, who provide us the observation data and who provide us the forecast products. Now, this itself, I think, gives you an idea that now we have participated in DATAMITE to increase the visibility, so that to expose this availability of these data assets to even larger audience. Okay. Having said that, now I'll give you some basic idea about what are the services offered by the Mistral. First of all, Mistral provides a data consolidation. What do I mean by that? You have the various regional networks across Italy that collect the weather data. So you provide one central and standardized weather data platform. That is one. In fact, I have given you the link. So if you click the link, you can see the different, it takes you to the link where we expose the data assets. Of course, each data are categorized in different categories like forecast, observation, radar, and seasonal forecasting. So it takes you to the page link where you have the data sets and the related metadata, etc. We can roughly consider it as a kind of catalog, let's say. And then As I said before, we have a lot of weather networks that provide us the data. So we collect the real-time input from around 4,000 plus weather stations. They are organized into different networks and millions of observations per day. And we have about 40 plus downloadable data assets that covering weather and sea forecast, and also some radar data from National Civil Protection Service. And third, MeteoHub also provides some visualization services based on the forecast data. It's not elaborate, but we have, because it involves a lot of licensing issues. So for some of the forecast products, the Mistral provides the visualization service. And of course, we are giving this some of the data sets or data assets that we also going to, expose with DATAMITE, or they are freely available so that other researchers can know the availability of the data sets and probably can create a downstream applications. Fine. So having given an introduction about the Mistral, now I give you the challenges we face. Some of the challenges are, of course, technical, and some challenges are exploitational. Where comes the context of DATAMITE? The technical challenges, for example, we need to share huge volume of data, and they are really complex. It's coming from different places, so the synchronization, the network traffic. So you need to have a proper infrastructure that can handle such huge volume of data. And of course, we have issues which is related to the spatial and temporal resolution. So whenever you do a forecast simulation based on your observation data or historical data, so these are the two criteria that you have to use. If you want to use more, if you want to do a forecast simulation which needs to have high spatial and temporal resolution, then the capacity, the need for the HPC increases a lot. Then the third challenge is handling data from multiple heterogeneous sources. As I said many a times, we have huge number of networks from which we are collecting data. And of course, the final point is the problem of storage, because you need to segregate between long-term and short-term data sets. Long-term data sets are often very difficult to store and process because you need to store decades of worth data, historical data, to make to run forecast simulations, and that needs robust infrastructure, not only HPC but also the storage. Okay, these are technical. The moment you have the infrastructure, you can reliably face it. But there are other two challenges which are exploitational. One is, of course, data sharing, because us people who are in the data analysis business, we know that most of the time we have a nice idea that, okay, this is what I want to do. Okay, I have this idea. I want to use this data to create a such and such application. But most of the time we do not know where to find the data. So you need, let's say that publicly available platforms to see where the data is available. And of course, sharing is also not an easy task, because one is that you need to find, you need to put your data in a place which is visible to many researchers and organizations, and also maybe each portal may have its own sharing policy, license, etc., etc. So it's not easy to do. The sharing is not easy. I'm very confident that you guys know much more than me the problem of data, the challenges involved in data sharing. And the second thing is, of course, accuracy. If you have bad input, the famous jargon in computer science, garbage in, garbage out. So if you are not validating the quality of your data, of course, whatever you are going to create downstream will have a huge impact. So these are the two challenges where come the context of the DATAMITE. So do you have any specific questions on the part? Is anything is not clear, or I can move on? I don't see you, so you have to tell me by voice.
There is no question currently, but yeah, neither written. If someone wants to speak, let us know.
Okay,
Otherwise,
maybe I wait for a second. So if
yeah,
anybody has any
sure.
specific. Okay, so if there are no questions now, I go to part 2, where I'll show you a little bit more about the context, what step we follow technically, and I will try to showcase directly on the DATAMITE instance what we have created, what we have disseminated. Okay, so as I said before, there are two contexts or the challenges in the point in light of the exploitation of data for which we want to use DATAMITE. One is, of course, data sharing, as I explained, the complexity, and of course, the data quality. I told that data sharing is a challenge, but if you ask why is the challenge, because as I said before, businesses, especially startup and small scale, of course, if we talk about Google or Amazon, they are big shots. They have all the data they want. They can get all the data they want, right? But if we talk about other small startups and SMEs who wants to create in any sector, it need not be the weather sector, that they want to use data to provide downstream applications or services, they need to have the availability of timely, accessible, and usable data so that they can make use of it to create a value addition through analytic services and products. And of course, if the data, if there are problems or restrictions on data sharing, it can, of course, hinder innovation. It can slow down product development and also limit market access and scalability. This is one part. And as far as the quality is concerned, as you know, as I said before, garbage in, garbage out, poor quality data could lead to unreliable predictions. Particularly, this is important for forecast. I mean, many a times forecast predictions, forecast predictions are not easy. Okay, and it need not be be accurate. And we know that sometimes we think that it's going to be sunny, we get out of home, and after 1 hour maybe it starts raining. I mean, these things can happen, not frequently, but it can happen. So if we create any data which is I mean, any services based on the data which does not have proper quality, of course it will undermine the trust, and we will have a problem of we don't have any competitive advantage compared to others who are trying to create applications or services based on data. Okay. In this context, so how do we use DATAMITE? And of course, in one side, so the input layer is MeteoHub or the Mistral, and the output layer is, challenging, confronting these two challenges that I just explained. One side you have Mistral, the other side is the fix for the challenges that we have. So we use several DATAMITE modules, particularly to inject our data catalogs or the sensor data. We use the data support module, and of course, it is once you upload the data, is communicated to the data governance module. And using data sharing or data quality, using data sharing, we do the dissemination of our data on European portals using the inbuilt brokers developed for our pilot. And of course, using the data quality, we define some rules to detect the quality of the sensor or to detect the anomalies in sensor data. But I'll explain to you in a few slides ahead, what do I mean by quality of the sensor data or identifying the anomalies of the sensor data. So let's just focus on the first scenario. So this is the flow chart of the steps that we use in exposing our data assets to the European portals. And in the context of DATAMITE, our technical partners have created two brokers. One is to disseminate our assets on AIOD platform, and another is the CINECA platform. So we have our data catalogs or data assets. So we upload our information about or metadata about the data sets on the DATAMITE framework, and from as an individual artifacts. And then with that, we create the data products. And through the data sharing module, we disseminate to one of these portals. So one side you have the input layer, which is the data assets or the sensor data, and the other side is the output layer, which are the data sets disseminated on the European portals. Having said that, maybe now I'll show you how our data sets are organized. Okay, you can also see this information on the link I provided before. So the METIOB has the main data, the data sets as the main assets. And of course, we have different types of usable data of various types. It can be forecast, it can be observation, it can be seasonal radar data. For example, the following figure illustrates for some, just as an example, some information about the data sets that we have and some of the attributes. So we use this information and we disseminate this information on the European portals. But I think too much theory is a little bit boring. Probably, if it is okay for you, I'll show you the steps directly on the DATAMITE framework. Is that allowed? I mean, can I?
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Okay. Because I don't want this to be a technical seminar, because that has already been done by the technical.
No, but it's important because it's part of the training. So it's important to see hands-on, like on the platform.
That's perfect. Okay. So in the catalog, of course, we have different data sets. So as far as the Mistral is concerned, so I have categorized, for the two scenarios, I've categorized the data set. One is the Mistral product, which we are going to disseminate. I'll show you what we do while we disseminate. And the other is the Mistral quality, the data assets or the sensor data, where we estimate the quality to identify the anomalies in sensor data. So if you click on the Mistral, whoever has access to the ITA instance of DATAMITE, for example, you can see in the Mistral product, you have different categories of data. As I explained before, it can be forecast, or it can be seasonal modeling, or it can be radar data sets. I ask your apology because sometimes I use data assets, sometimes I use data sets, but I mean the same thing. For me, data is, as a data analyst, for me, data is an asset. Okay, so we have these once, so we uploaded our data, we created a data set, and then we added all these different category of data as the artifacts. So using this, what we wanted to do is that we did a merging of all these different categories into single file, and then removed only one column, which is an attribution. So the attribution column actually tells who is providing us the data, but that is not a very, very important metadata. So while we create the data product, let's see here. So what we have done is that we have taken all the three data sets, and then we merged into a single product. And that is what we see here, the merged data set. So you have independent information about the data assets, and then we merged. And of course, once we merged the data set, I removed only one column, which is called the attribution column, which does not have a very, which in our opinion is not a very important metadata. So we merged the artifacts and created one final data product that we wanted to disseminate. So now let me go to the publication. and probably maybe I can try a trial publication here. So when I want to create a publication, of course, I can choose, maybe I'll try the AI on demand. So I say, yes, I want to publish here. So to generate, I generate the token, and this is done automatically with an account because here everything is saved. I confirm that I have all these privileges. I can give the privileges. So now I go back to my DATAMITE. Since I have already provided the user credentials, I can directly get the token. I really want to give an applause for the technical partners here, because all I am doing with the free clicks. Otherwise, we need to identify the the catalog and the metadata, everything on each of the portal, and we have to create all these things by ourselves. So thanks for the technical partners for this wonderful creation. So let me just write something, Mistral assets, and then maybe and then the product ID, everything is generated. And of course, I can create some information here, whether I want to create all the data sets or all the data products, because I created 2. Probably I can just remove this one, the merged one. I can only put the last one where after merging, I removed some columns. Maybe I will just skip this, because if I include all this information, I'll be doing only this. And just by clicking the publish, it just published. So as I repeat, it's very easy for us, because all we do is just upload the data, create the product, and then with a few clicks, we are able to disseminate. So, I mean, so the similar, so besides AI on demand, we have also disseminated our data in another portal, which is called the CINECA. Let me not show you the same procedure, but I will just show you recently we did a test dissemination, and it was working very fine. So the procedure is always the same. So you have the data, you have the data product, and then you do the publish, click the publish and fill all the information, and then you can, I can choose whatever portal where I want to publish, and I can publish. So as far as the Mistral or Meteor is concerned, we are in our context, in our pilot context, we do the dissemination on AIOD platform and the CINECA platform. Okay, so now I come back to my slides. So this is how we use DATAMITE to expose our data assets. Now let me go to the second context where we use the DATAMITE platform. So during the initial conception or germination of the product, our pilot was mainly involved. I mean, our pilot mainly asked for the data dissemination capabilities from as an outcome from the DATAMITE framework. But during the evolution of the project, we discussed in detail with the technical coordinator, Jyoti, as I know you all know him. And we expressed our another challenge that, we have some sensor data and we don't have an inbuilt capability to identify the anomalies. Is there any way that DATAMITE can help us? And indeed, he said that, he supported us to use the DATAMITE to validate the quality of the sensor data. And it is really, it's a very, it's really a huge gift for us. And I'll show you how and why in the next slide. But before that, I'll walk through the steps. So once we have the sensor data, the first step is, of course, using the data support tools to create the data sets and add the artifacts. So once we had the artifacts, we use the data quality module to assess the sensor anomalies. Of course, when I talk about the sensor anomalies, I don't have just one type of data coming up. Maybe we have the sensors that collects the temperature. We have the sensors that collect the pressure, and we have the sensor that collect precipitation or XY zeta. So we cannot have one rule applied to all types of data or data coming from different types of sensors. So we need to have a way to define our role specific rules, for which of course we use the user defined rules generator. So once we generate the rule and apply to test the quality or identify the anomalies in our sensor data, we use it as a quality tag for our sensor data. So here the input is our sensor data, okay? And of course we use all these 4 modules within the support module, governance module, the quality and sharing for both our, for our pilot. But in this particular case, we use particularly the quality evaluator and the user rule generator. And then the output is getting the quality KPI for our sensor data. Fine, I've spoken a lot about sensor data, but identifying anomalies. But let's just give you a glimpse what is the exact problem we have and what we are trying to identify here. So here I show you one example of a small example of sensor data. It's the data where we collected from the sensor and at different timestamps, and we collect the, for example, our partners or data providers or observation centers, whatever we can call, they measure the temperature. So you have this, the first column, the sensor ID and the date, and of course the timestamp and the measurement. What happens is that sometimes due to technical or any technical issues or any problem in the sensors, they can register anomalies, okay? When this kind of fault occurs, what happens is that the sensor, instead of sending a missing value, it just enters a value something like -9999. Of course, if I tell you that -999 is not a meaningful temperature, okay? In this example, so I'm talking about the temperature data. So it just registers this value, okay, whenever due to this, which can arise due to some technical issues. So now we have our data set. We know that how to identify the anomalies, but we need to have a software or framework which enables us to introduce this rule to identify the anomaly. So this is the context that we use DATAMITE to assess the quality of our sensor data. So in the succeeding slide, I'll show you a simple demo of what we have introduced and what quality measure we are getting. So again, once again, maybe having this idea about how we are using DATAMITE, and now I'll directly show you on the framework what we have inserted, how we are identifying the anomalies. Go to DATAMITE again. So here we have the list of data sets, and here we have different artifacts, which is nothing but the sensor data. So on each of them, we wanted to see whether you have from a data from a particular sensor has anomalies or not. Okay, so anomalies means that sensor has registered a value of -9999, for example. Of course, this criteria will differ for different data sets. Maybe we may have data sets that characterize the pressure collected at some point, maybe temperature, precipitation, or whatever, XY zeta. So these are the data sets, artifacts, and we have defined a quality rule here. I'm sorry if it is not, I do not know if I can enlarge the screen, but I hope many of you have already used the framework. So what we have defined here that, okay, I have my sensor data, okay. So identify if there is any anomaly, which is minus 9999, the value. So we have defined a very simple rule. If my data set does not have the anomaly, the minimum value should be 0, okay. With this criteria, only for the temperature data. So let's see that how it is reflected in the artifact. So if I go to each artifact and I click the quality rules, of course, for example, this sensor, which is identified as with the number 49893 as an anomaly, as you see with the red dot, okay. And if I go to, for example, some other, probably this one. Okay, for example, this data from this particular sensor S49901 does not have this anomaly. So it means that we can see that here it's a green symbol. Of course, the number is not very clear to me. I hope it shows as 100. I am not sure if it is a problem of my browser. So this is how we identify the anomalies in sensor. But having said that, you can say, okay, you have uploaded the data and you have just entered a rule, and you are seeing the the KPI. But this doesn't stop here. The cool feature that I saw, or we can benefit from here, that once the rule is defined, when I upload the new data set, the rule is already applied. I don't need to manually regenerate the rule. Probably if I have another 2 minutes time, I can show you by uploading a test data set and directly. Do I have the time? I mean, I can just one small data set.
Yeah, sure. Go for it. Go for it. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so here I go and add an artifact. Maybe I give the name as, maybe just to see that on the fly. Of course, it's not a meaningful sensor name, but okay, maybe I can this, and I create the artifact. Okay, so now I go to this on the fly. So I go to the quality rules. Now I don't see anything now. When I just say, oh, sorry. Oh, sorry, it's doing the job, sorry. So when I do the update rule, so we can see that it is automatically, it is automatically update on the new data that I've just uploaded. So every time, like, I don't need to redo it, or the famous passage people say, don't reinvent the wheel. So I'm sure that this new data set does not have any anomaly. So I just go there and click and update the rule, update the score. So it is already giving me the score. Fine. So these are the two contexts. And before I wind up, I want to tell you specifically that, what is the benefit of DATAMITE bringing to us, because I want to, maybe I explained in last 40 minutes what we do, why we do with DATAMITE, why we need DATAMITE. But I want to give you also some take-home message in this slide. So what DATAMITE really brings to us, okay, of course, bringing value to our data assets. So we expose the availability of the data to, in the European portal. So thereby we are enhancing the visibility so that others can make use of it. It can be researchers, it can be startups or SMEs, whoever are involved in weather sector. And the one thing I like in, every project or every framework has its own mantra. I think for us, the mantra of DATAMITE for Mistral is just click and continue. Just upload the data, just keep few clicks, and then you do the dissemination. So that's very helpful for us. And third is, of course, as I said, enabling the data quality assessments, identifying the sensor anomalies, particularly by using ad hoc rules. And also it's very easy for us. So every time you upload new data, you just update the score without redoing everything from the beginning. And the fourth one, I've already explained how we, if in the example that I showed you, how we identify the anomalies. And last but not the least, okay, this is not something purely technical. This is an output of the work package 4. And they helped us defining formulations to create value out of our data, because we have our data, we expose our data, we identify anomalies, but we didn't know how to create a value index for our data. So in work package 4, they also helped us to create formulations so that we can define value for our data sets. Of course, this is not our domain. It may belong to, it is a content for, I think, some other webinar. So without giving much detail, I just say that this is another benefit that DATAMITE brought to us. So I also take this opportunity to thank all the technical partners and Anthony once again for the chance to present our pilot. And of course, all of you for your patient attention.
Thank you very much. It was very interesting.
So I want to ask, if you have any questions, please let me know, because I have some questions to ask you.
Go for it.
To make sure that, my message to you was clear.
You make the question and then you choose who will answer, like Vasilis.
No, I'll make everybody to answer. So I just made a quiz. So I'll wait for a few seconds. If there is no any particular questions, then I will ask you some questions. Okay, so I think the long silence means they don't have any specific questions, but probably maybe I'll just do this. I want to ask you guys that, to make sure that our pilot made any sense to you, or gave any, my presentation gave any sense to you. So I can check it by, just by creating a small quiz. So whoever wants to participate, please scan this QR code so that I don't need to choose somebody to answer the question. So DATAMITE is, let's say it's a big teamwork. So I think it's better that you answer the question as a team instead of me choosing any specific person. I see 2 members. 3. Maybe I'll wait for a few minutes for others to join if they want to join. Okay, I go ahead. So I've just created few quiz questions. It will not be more. It will not take more than 5 minutes. So please feel free to So exposing data assets to external portal with DATAMITE helps to enhance visibility or conceal the assets. Okay, so as you have seen that the two correct responses, yes, because we of course do these to enhance the visibility of our data sets. That's cool. Okay, so the next is which of the following aspects does DATAMITE address for Mistral? One is data sharing, data quality, data breach, and data loss. Yeah, that's fantastic. So we use both for we use DATAMITE for both data sharing and data quality. Thanks for your answers. Wow, both of them are in the. Which DATAMITE brokers are used by Mistral? So it's just AIOD, CCAN. We use a broker for YouTube, and the last is AIOD and CCAN. Yes, so we use both. Thanks. I mean, both of the. I mean, 2 out of 3 have identified it correctly. SM is rocking, yeah. Which DATAMITE modules are relevant for Mistral? Just data support, or only data governance, data sharing, data quality, all of the previous. That's perfect. Yes, of course, we use all of them because they are all interlinked, and the SM is continuing to rock. And the final question is this. So in the context of DATAMITE, user-defined quality rules are used for identifying anomalies, identifying missing values, evaluate the data size, and evaluate the variance of the data. Yeah, you're right. So all 3 have correctly answered. So thank you for your participation. I'm at least happy that my seminar was clear. So that's all from my side. So if you have any specific questions or queries regarding the pilot or other things, and I'm here to answer.
Just to remind everyone that the session is recorded, so it will be uploaded on our video repository, and you can share it with your networks for the people who were not able to join today. This is something, this is part of the training, this is part of the demonstration, so it's something that it will be online even after the end of the project. Thank you very much, everyone. I don't see any question. Thank you, Bala, for this detailed presentation, and looking forward for the next presentation. Bye-bye.
Thank you.